Hey, stop.
Coming from a galaxy near you, this is Brothers in Booze. And here are your hosts, Greg Washington and Doug Ziegler.
Welcome to Brothers in Booze, Doug. I love the old banana throwing. That shit was funny. You know, it's like we're a bunch of monkeys out there nowadays, so what the hell?
Yeah.
Why not just follow through with it and throw a whole bunch of bananas at someone?
Yeah.
Speaking of bananas, it's been kind of a bananas week. How you doing?
Sorry, man. My connection's all choppy already, so this has been a good start. What did you say again, please?
I said it's been a bananas week. How you doing all week? How you been?
Clearly well, since my connection is doing awesome. So, yeah, man, what you got in the glass? Because I'm about ready to open
I don't
mine.
have anything, but I will be having this. I'm still working on my Martin City Brewing. Yeah, do you have this one yet?
I did not have that one yet.
Yeah. Let's see what's going on. Haven't had a sour in a long ass time. Look at that pretty color though, and that dirty ass glass.
Dirty glass, gang.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna make sure it's one of these days. So this claims to be a blackberry and raspberry sour, and it is a blackberry raspberry sour. It's really nice. Not too soury, so you'll be fine. More fruity.
Okay.
Let's see here. Alcohol by volume 4.8. Very nice. I like it. Fun. Haven't had one in a while, so.
Yeah, you haven't really had one on the show for quite a bit. So yeah. Nice. Cheers.
Yeah, and I'm not drinking much outside of the stream here. So yeah, this is the first sour I've had for a very nice time. You know me, I like them. But you know, again, generally I'm with you, Doug. I like them in those, you know, little shot glasses that we get when we get our shots or our flights. And damn, I miss flights. Me
too. I like having a variety, but yeah, so I'm going to go sour to start as well, believe it or not. Starting with Dark and Stormy, which is basically take on the Dark and Stormy cocktail, which is one of my favorite cocktails. This and Blood and Sand are two of my favorites. So sour ale 5.5 with ginger and lime. So the folks out of DuClaw in Baltimore.
Pretty tart. About a 6 or a 5 on the scale. Not too crazy.
Look at that.
That's pretty.
Yeah, and this Dark and Stormy, this is about the color they are too. So they got the color right. So it'll be interesting to see what their take. I think I've had one other beer, and I'm trying to remember who made it. It was a couple years ago. They had a Dark and Stormy ale, and that was pretty good, but not like exactly. But it's a beer. It's not going to be exactly like a cocktail. So let's see how this one is.
After you're done, tell me what exactly a Dark and Stormy is.
Man, I can't tell you the ingredients off the top of my head, but ginger and lime is that ginger beer and lime is part of it.
Oh.
Pretty sure it's bourbon. I'll have to look that up, but yeah. So anyway,
how's that? Yeah,
it smells super gingery and lime on the nose, which is what you should get out of it. Ooh, nice and tart. Not really that sour, but Dark and Stormy is not sour. Rum. Thank you, Lauren. Yes, it's a great drink. So yeah, this is pretty. It's not as like obviously with the rum is a little bit more, it has a little bit more bite than a beer does, but the other ingredient parts to it really approximate the Dark and Stormy really well. It's really lovely, super drinkable. Yeah, this isn't even like a sour you go, oh, it's good for hot weather. This is something you can drink anytime. It's really, really good. So cheers to you, sir.
Cheers. Yeah, sour me this, sour me that. Who has gone to see
the Bat? Okay, Riddler.
Right. I Daniel, man, I kind of got a little bit of a bad vibe with the movie, but it's not the movie's fault. We bought HBO Max for one purpose, Doug, or not one purpose, but I mean, for a purpose was that they advertised that they were going to show The Batman the first night on HBO Max, and then since reeled that back. So I'm kind of annoyed by that aspect of it. But HBO Max has been worth its money over and over, at least in this house. So I'm conflicted, but I do want to go see the Bat. I don't know when I'm going to go see the Bat. I'm kind of wary about going out there. Even still, with there's only I don't know about where you're at, but there's less than 500 people here that have contracted COVID in the past day. Or the weekly averages is below 500. So there's only 500 people in the state who have it, basically, ish. You know how that goes. And that's down from thousands and tens of thousands that we had at this, so I'm more likely to go out there, but I'm still not. But what I really love, Doug, and what's really enticing me back to the theater specifically, is this how they have refined themselves. It was going on before the pandemic, but they've really refined themselves as far as being able to call up or get on. Actually, you don't have to call. Get online, book your seats, see how many are filled. You know what I mean? So, and you can go in the morning when there's no one in there. You can spread out, and all that. And also the whole, bring me, order food or bring me food type thing.
Yeah,
I love it. So you don't have to move.
Yeah, we don't have that here for our theater. Our theater it's nice. We don't have one of those things where you can order food and they deliver it to your seat in the theater or any of that. We don't have some places, I know in Colorado, my brother-in-law, they can go to the movie theater and they get beer and all that shit right at their seat. And I'm like,
right.
Yeah, we don't have that. New York State, the seemingly progressive state. Not so progressive in some weird ways, especially with beer and alcohol.
You get outside those city limits up there of any of those cities, and
you're out in the rural country, Jack.
Yeah, the progression stops progressing real fast.
Progressively backwards.
Right. Accelerated. Jonathan says, we got HBO Max for one reason, Doctor Who. You should have it for two reasons. Mayor of Easttown. Check it out. We read about it.
There's lots more reasons than that.
There's so many, but that's a really good one for me. How about that?
Quick. This Sunday is premiering the show about the Jerry Buss and the Lakers. I can't wait for that one. I got to look that one up. But that one looks, and John T. Reilly is the guy that's playing Jerry Buss, which is I don't know. That seems so weird because of who he is. It's called Winning Time. So it's about the rise of the Lakers dynasty. And I cannot wait to watch that.
Awesome. I feel you. I feel a little claustrophobic at first at a full regular screen. Wow. So how was it, Daniel? Was it so my house, and we need to get to our guests, but my house, we rank everything as far as Batman movies goes and superhero movies revolves around the Dark Knight series. Are you up to the Dark Knight series? That's the measuring bar for my kids. The second movie is the measuring bar for them as far as any kind of superhero movies. That's they only saw it 2 weeks ago, Doug, or 3 weeks ago. And because they were young when it came out. But they only saw it 2 weeks ago, and that's their favorite superhero movie. And they're just I don't really care about anything else at this point. So we're running through the Spider-Man series now. And I think tonight after we jump off here, we're gonna watch the Amazing Spider-Man 1. Never seen that one. But we just got done the Spider-Man trilogy. So yeah, and then HBO's always had top quality shows. This isn't anything new. And the best thing about it is you can go back and see all those old ones too, whether it be, stuff that, whether Doug or I like it doesn't matter. Sex and the City, Sopranos, The Wire, it's all there. And it's just fantastic. I don't know. To me, that's one, and we talk about all the streaming sites in this house. How all the streaming sites. And that's one at this point. It was the last one that we signed up for, Doug. But it's also would be the first one I would fight for at this point. I would fight to get rid of it at this point. You're gonna have to I would get rid of
then
like
you call them
all
him.
the other ones. Right? I won't have to fight, but I mean, if I had to fight, that would be one for sure.
Yeah, it's great. They have so much content, and they have content from like going back to like Oz, and Oz was a fucking great
Oz.
show. Oh
I
my
mean, it
God.
just goes on and on, right? And that doesn't even include the new stuff that we love, like Mayor of Easttown, and I mean, there's just so many. It's just crazy. And I love the short stories too, like Mayor of Easttown. Sometimes the movie is just too short. You can't get every, I mean, sometimes movies are rushed. Where if you have these long mini series, even just like 8 episodes, it's just like great. So, yeah. So
we
now,
we had a discussion about that, I believe.
So now, Batman Forever, Brian, is it's the barometer that we use for horrifyingly horrible superhero movies.
Yeah, so, it's the Mendoza line of superhero movies. That and Green Lantern.
Right. Well, my youngest son goes, well, Spider-Man 3 was better than Batman Forever. And I'm like, well, I mean, come on. Like,
low bar.
Right. So, we might as well bring on our guests. That's why we have them here, Doug, or otherwise we'd be opining for, all the whole time. Westworld is on my watch list. It's on mine lower. Should it be higher, Doug?
I didn't get. Now I am notoriously bad at binge watching shows. I watched the first season was just unbelievably great. I didn't watch anything after that, and Lauren backs me up on that there. But that, if you watch that first season, it's really remarkable. I didn't get past that. That was me saying that JHD for some reason it's not registering me there, but.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
I mean, there's so many freaking options just on HBO now that I don't. Yeah, it's good. But there's a million other things to watch on that you can't really go wrong. Like my wife's into the Righteous Gemstones right now, and that show is crazy good. So yeah.
Okay. I got it. I almost completely agree with this because my kids are like, well, me and my kids talk about it, and I say, why did they just stop at the Dark Knight series? Like, just stop.
Because they can make money on it.
Right, but it doesn't make it right, motherfuckers.
Doesn't matter about that. It just matters can they rake in some bucks off of it, right?
Yeah, so Daniel says, I like the Nolan movies better than this one, but I could see where they might be going with it. So is there a trilogy, Daniel? Is there other ones coming after this? Because I didn't see that. And then I'm scared of who the Batman is. What's his name again? Robert Pattinson. Is that who it is?
Robert Pattinson. Yep.
Right.
Cedric Diggory. Cedric Diggory. That's Cedric Diggory from Harry Potter. So.
Oh, that's who he is?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Now I'm going to tell you, don't sleep on him because there's a movie he did with Willem Dafoe called The Lighthouse, and he is unbelievable in that movie, and it's super fucking creepy and weird. It's really good. I think it's made by the same guy who made like Midsommar and Hereditary. I think I could be wrong, but those movies are fucking. Ooh. So yeah. Anyway, he's really good.
And so is our guest. His name is Aaron Yavelberg, and let's bring him on. What's up, Aaron?
Hi, everybody. Hi, guys.
I had to find a segue in between Batman and you, and it was difficult, so that's what we had. So welcome, I saw. Yeah. I'm sorry, Doug. But I saw you remarking in the back. So tell us what you're drinking, and then give us some comments on what we were talking about because it looked like you had some.
Sure. So first of all, what I'm drinking is gin. It's a little cloudy because it's got some lime juice in there. It is Inveroche gin. There's the bottle. For our anniversary, my wife got me a subscription to a Gin of the Month Club through Mash and Grape, and this was the third bottle they sent us. So
fancy.
Yeah, it's nice. It's from South Africa. It's delicious. I could drink it straight. This one's a little too strong for me to drink really straight, so I put the lime in there usually. The other two that came in, though, hi JHG. The other two that came in were Compass Rose Experimental Gin, which was fine, not my favorite, but it was all right. And then the first one was really interesting. It was from this place, Never Sink. And that's a New York State distillery, and they infuse apple into all of their spirits. And that one I didn't expect to like, but turned out to be really, really tasty. So yeah, that was a really good one. Never Sink. But yeah, so this is very good. I would have had an actual wedge of lime in there, except I knew we had lime, and then I went to the supermarket, and then when I got back, I saw that the lime had gone moldy. So it's just lime juice tonight. You make do with what you've got. So what I was going to say about the movies, Batman Forever came out probably, and I'm dating myself obviously here, but I'm pretty sure I was in high school still. And Batman Forever is still better than Batman and Robin. Batman and Robin was the travesty with Arnold Schwarzenegger and Chris O'Donnell.
Clooney.
Yes, Clooney.
Was a horrible Batman. Sorry,
he was terrible. It was terrible. Batman and Robin, say what you will about Val Kilmer, but Jim Carrey as the Riddler was fantastic. He fit the role perfectly. He was an excellent addition, and it worked. Tommy Lee Jones as Two-Face. I mean, if you want something, fine, I will grant you. If you want something that stays a little more true to the darkness of the Batman history, yes, absolutely go with Christopher Nolan. You can't go wrong with Heath Ledger as the Joker. He was amazing. But still, if you want like a nod to the campy goofiness of Adam West and the history of the Batman on film, yeah, like Jim Carrey as the Riddler. Do not sleep on him. It was excellent.
Right, but it just missed the whole campiness too. Like it was a mess. The whole thing, I don't know. Like, yeah. Anyway, Doug. So no, and you said in the comments too, and the new Batman was in the Twilight movies. Yes. So that's where I get my reservation about him, Doug. How about that?
Well, yeah, but he did that. How old are those movies now? Like, we think they're just like a few years old. Those things are 10, 15 years old now.
I know. I'm just saying. People evolve and grow and all that. I got it.
He's a 35-year-old man at this point. Like, he's not a teenager. He wasn't a teenager in those movies either. He was in his 20s, but.
Right.
Hey, can we also make so you talk about the campiness real quick? We have the idea of with campiness, and you go back to like remember the Batman, just the first one, Batman, and the idea of Prince doing the soundtrack for that, and just the fucking bonkers music he did to that. Like I remember, were they all high on coke when they did that? Because holy shit, that movie and that soundtrack is just like all over the place, and I love it.
The answer is yes. It was the late 80s. Everybody was.
That's fair.
Bat Dance is one of the best soundtrack songs ever, in my opinion, Doug. So watch where you step.
No, I think it's great, but when you listen to that music, it changes tempo and style like 5 times in like an 8-minute song. It does. And it's like, what the fuck is going on?
Yeah, Vicky Vale.
Let's not get banned already.
Right. Look, let Patterson live, damn it. Okay. Patterson. Yes. So, Aaron, I know you. Doug knows you. Tell everybody who you are. We just jumped in. You know, you're clearly bigger and better than just a gin guy. So what's going on?
First of all, I saw a comment about the ketubah behind me. Thank you very much. I think that was Jeff. That's this right here. This is for the this is a ketubah in the Jewish tradition. You have it's essentially a marriage contract. So this is what gets signed when Jews get married. My aunt did this. This is her artwork. And so, this is our ketubah. This is my wife and I signed this when we got married. So I have a wife, I have 2 kids. I'm a social worker. I'm a mental health professional. I'm a religious school teacher. I write a bit here and there. There's a whole lot going on.
Hey, he's
Yes.
got my
Yes,
he's got my thing going on there, Greg. I write a little bit. Yeah, you're a great writer, dude. Don't sell yourself short.
Well, I wasn't talking about quality. I was talking about quantity.
Okay. Yeah, that might be fair, but still, your stuff is excellent.
Thank you very much.
All right. Well, cool. Doug, do you have a follow-up here? Because I've been talking a lot.
No, I would say though that Aaron and I kind of didn't really know each other all that well, and then we kind of met at Dad 2.0, and that was like fast friends after that.
Mhm.
Like I think you and I talked after I did the thing at was it? I always say San
It was
Diego.
New Orleans. It was New Orleans.
New Orleans.
Yeah.
Okay.
2018.
And
that was my first one.
that's right. And we were there, and you and I talked for a while that time, and a couple of times too. So it was great to see, because I'd read a bunch of your stuff, and I'm like, that guy can really write. And then nice actually sitting and talking to you. So it was great.
Oh, it was fantastic. That was when we were both Spotlight Blogger readers. It was terrific.
Yeah.
Your writing was certainly more intense than mine that year.
Yeah. You went, as I recall, a bit more in the humorous route, and I went way deep, dark, personal shit. And
yeah. What better way to open a conference on parenting and
Yeah,
fatherhood than deep, dark,
on
personal
a rousing note about some guy's personal demons. It was great.
All right, Doug, we're going to jump right in, man. So I let you talk, Doug, because I have something to say here. So what I'm listening to, I always have something to say, right, Aaron? What I'm listening to lately, where I've been on, is Twitter Spaces. And one of the spaces that I've been on is this one right here. 24/7 Russia, War, Ukraine, Conspiracy Theories. If y'all don't know about Twitter Spaces, basically it's a place where people audio chat. And you get in there, and then in the app, it's like new. They're trying to really feature it and push it now, because it's like their alternative Clubhouse. But when you get in there, it's just people, you can't really even type or anything. It's just all listening, all audio. And this particular one, for some reason, I just gravitate back to it because it's just crazy as fuck. It's like watching a goddamn train wreck. When you get in there, I was like, oh, I want to talk, let's hear about Ukraine, what people think about that. So then that was it, in conspiracy theories. So that warns you that it was crazy, and I'm cool with that. So I just put it on, and then I'm usually doing my work, whether it be for this show or whatever else I do, and I just have it in the background. It's craziness, and it's on 24/7. It's gone from quantum physics to today. It was equality with women, and work issues, and it's just all over the place. And it's really funny, crazy, sometimes head scratching. Sometimes, I just turn it off because it's just a whole bunch of noise. So it's really interesting. Twitter Spaces, check them out. And while you're checking out Twitter Spaces, leave some room for a new project that I got going here, which is a beer chat on every Thursday on Twitter with our friends Afro Beer Chick and the main beer babe, Carla Lauder, who will be here on the 25th to talk about it. And basically, we'll just be in there talking about beer, whether it be hot topics of the month, or hot topics of the week, or we're going to start to have guests after a bit. Hopefully Doug and Aaron will show up and talk some beer with us, and talk whatever the daily thing is. What's really on my hot button, Doug, is these damn liquor stores that are still selling 9-month-old IPAs and stuff. I'm just really sick of it. It's really my rage now to scream and holler about that. So hopefully we'll get to that. But y'all know Afro Beer Chick, and some of y'all know the main beer babe, Carla Lauder. She's great. They're great. So we're gonna be talking about diversity in beer, all kinds of stuff. So that'll be, you can follow us. You'll see the hashtags. You can find it on the hashtags, or follow either one of us, and you'll be able to pick that up. And I'm excited. We start next Thursday. It should be fun.
Yeah, that's gonna be awesome. So
it should be a whole lot of fun. Yeah, so check us out, and we're the host, but like we can let people talk. So we're just gonna have a big full ass conversation there. So that's what I'm listening to is Twitter Spaces, and then soon you'll be listening to me do Twitter Spaces. Doug, what do you got? Is this something here? Is this what you're listening to? I can pull it right up there.
Yep, do that.
Okay,
Pull it up.
cool.
I listened to this week. If you have Audible, this is Chuck D, who's one of my absolute favorite rappers ever from Public Enemy, and just talking about the songs that these are all songs of protest for Black empowerment movement, and starting way back with Billie Holiday and works all the way up. And he didn't include any Public Enemy songs, which is, you would think that would be an opportunity for him. He included none of them. But it was fascinating to hear like the Billie Holiday stuff. Like I never saw the People versus what was it? The People versus Billie Holiday, or like the U.S. versus Billie. There was like a movie about it.
Oh yeah.
And I never saw that, but like the fact that the FBI went after her, like tried to keep her hooked on heroin, like he talked about all that, and like did tips like War and the song War, and like all of these anthems for civil rights and Black empowerment. It was excellent. And I mean, it was only not even 2 hours long, but you get to hear the songs and all the stories about how they came about. And if you like music and you like music as part of a movement and how that stuff comes about and how these people struggle to actually get it out into the public domain is really, really fascinating. Highly recommend. And I posted something on Twitter about it, and fucking Chuck D retweeted it, which about made me have another heart attack. So it's great. So yeah, but that thing I couldn't recommend highly enough. And like I said, it's an hour and 45 minutes. You can do that shit while you're wandering around the house, just doing stuff around the house.
It's like an audio movie.
Yeah, because I just thought it was an interesting medium for him to do that on. So, but yeah, it was really excellent.
That's cool. I didn't see this, but yeah, Daniel says he's going to be checking out the Spaces Team Old IPA. Age 120 is good though. Yeah, right.
It's one of the few you can actually age.
Right. Plus, if they're not in the green hazy IPAs, they usually can sit for a minute or two. 5 weeks, yes, but not 6 months, Jerry. Like,
yeah,
some of these ones that we're seeing, it's just awful. It just really is, actually. Yes, Doug. No, I agree with that. We agree with that for sure. So, so we're gonna keep it moving here, y'all. We are packed with suggestions this week, and Aaron, this is your turn to roll, buddy.
All right.
Yeah.
So one thing that I've read recently was The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck by Mark Manson. No relation to the other famous Mansons. This is a different one. This is one of those like typical self-help books. It's about figuring out what you want to do in life. It's about figuring out how to be a good person. It's about figuring out where your priorities are and how to get ahead at your job, and like all of these different things that people use a self-help book for. It's couched as the profanity is supposed to make it more accessible. The bottom line is that it's really a book about Buddhism. And so it's about how suffering is part of life. It's part of everyday life. It's part of what brings us together as people. And then it's also about how, because everybody suffers and because everybody is going through all of the same things, just the details are different, that should free us to be able to make really whatever choices we want. I think the best thing about it is that it really presented Buddhism and also these sort of outlooks on life in a really accessible way, made it really down to earth and straightforward, and used real world examples from like now, from our time, as opposed to these things from hundreds of years ago. So that it really was good. Definitely recommend it. To continue on the religious bent, I'm also actually going to tout my father's book. My dad, Arthur Yavelberg, wrote a book just a little while ago, or he actually published it, I think probably 6 months, maybe even a year ago by now. It's really short. It's like 90 pages, but my dad has been an educator in Jewish day schools for just about his entire career. Was a philosophy major in college, just like me, or maybe I should say I was a philosophy major in college, just like him.
Just like him, right?
He did it first, and so it's also a really good read. And you know, Doug, I know you're an atheist, and so I'm putting it on there sort of on purpose. It's worth reading. That, you know, look, obviously I'm biased. He is my father, but one of the things that I'll say is that one of the things that he does really well, which I take pride in terms of how I talk to people about religion, how I talk to my social work clients about their choices in their lives and things like that. And we can also always get into that in a bit too, is that, look, here's what I've done, here's what I've seen, here's what I've figured out, but by no means do I have all the answers, right? This is just how I've figured it out, but this may not work for you. So here's another guy's ideas. You take it for what you think it's worth. If it makes sense to you, great. If it helps you figure some stuff out on your own, even better. If you read it and think it doesn't make any sense to you, or it doesn't apply, or it's whatever, you want to throw it in the garbage or use it as a good doorstop, you know, like that's your business. You want to use it as a paperweight, that's fine too. You know, it's just as effective either way. So
but it's a thinker, though. It makes you think, right? It's a thinker.
Correct. It makes you think.
It proves your beliefs. People need their beliefs probed, in my opinion. If you believe something,
it's going to push some of those buttons. Yeah, and the three of us were messaging about that today and yesterday too, about how people need to get some holes poked into your beliefs here and there, just to make sure that you really do believe what you think you do, or that what you think you believe is actually what you think it is. There are plenty of people who are following certain theories or certain beliefs, thinking that they're one thing and they're actually something else. So,
right, and that's a major problem I have with society today, is that people get set in these things and then they don't let any other kind of evidence besides what helps their cause in, and everything else is fake news or the liberal media or whatever you want to, like, you know what I mean, like, conjure to make sure that your beliefs are backed up as opposed to challenged. And I'm kind of the opposite way. I kind of want to be challenged. And then a lot of that challenging, I believe, strengthens my belief, or it might weaken it, and that's fine, because a belief can change. This is really more of I believe, a scientific way of thinking than it is an emotional way of thinking. Meaning, you know, any good scientist worth anything is willing to change their views with evidence that makes you change your views. So that's how I kind of want to think, Aaron. It's just tough because, again, a lot of stuff is just, and we just naturally, I think, seek out things that make us feel better and make what we think feel better. I don't know if you want to talk about that a little bit, and then we'll get to what Doug has to say.
I mean, sure. There have been all these different kinds of studies that say, and of course I can't quote any of them officially off the top of my head, but I mean, there have been hundreds of studies that talk about how when a person is confronted with an alternate point of view, right? I think X, and you tell me, well, what about this? Or what about Y? Not even just like you're wrong, X is incorrect. Just like, have you thought about this also? People will dig in their heels as intensely as they can and grab onto whatever they're believing already, just to avoid admitting that they are wrong. You know, we're not even talking about these huge, like, intense paradigm shift kinds of changes of opinion here. I mean, this could be something as simple as, like, you know, you're touching my hand. No, I'm not. It's just, you know, and just to avoid being, having to actually think and analyze and admit that maybe there is more to what I've actually come to believe. I've never understood it, and maybe that's one of the things about social worker philosophy is that I'm much more about asking the questions than I am about deciding that I've found the official answer. It's like the more I learn, the more I realize I have yet to figure out. So
yeah, and that's why I love that Twitter space too, because I hear shit I've never heard before, and some of it I've come away like maybe I need to think about that more. Maybe this is an angle I haven't addressed in whatever thinking I'm thinking, especially this quantum physics conversation that was going on there, and I'm like, what in the hell? So anyway, Doug, what are you reading? That's where we're at, right?
Yeah, that's what we're reading. First of all, I before we get to that, I read The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck as well. I read that a couple years ago. That's an excellent book. You're right, it is. It is Buddhism with swearing. And the thing is Buddhism, if I were to ascribe to any sort of religion, would probably be closest to what I would get at, because it's all about kind of just getting your shit together and, being aware is really what I think it gets down to. But I think that book was excellent. I highly recommend that as well. So, yeah. What I am reading is not anything that is enlightening. It's fiction, because I generally stick to fiction. This is Paradox Hotel by Rob Hart. He wrote a book called The Warehouse before this that basically was all about like a futuristic view of Amazon. And it is so, everything seemed plausible in that book. This book is a little bit more sci-fi style, where time travel's involved, but it's in a hotel and there's a crime, so it's a little noir. It's a lot of different things all thrown together. Rob Hart's an excellent author. If you have a chance, you should pick it up and read it. It's only out in hardcover right now, but Rob's also pretty good friends with a former guest of ours, Chuck Wendig. They talk all the time about shit. So, yeah, that's an excellent fiction read if you're into that. If you're into that kind of thing.
Yeah, that's good. We've covered fiction and nonfiction, and now I'm covering this barrel-aged barley wine there, Doug.
Ooh, wait.
Reese, Prophet, and King.
Who is that from? Because was it Drosner talk about that?
Yeah, Carbon 4.
Yeah.
We're gonna hopefully have Ryan, the head brewer of Carbon 4, on here. Hopefully in April or May. I'm contacting him, but this is their anniversary beer, 2022 barrel-aged barley wine.
Sounds awesome.
I'm expecting it 11.3%, Aaron. So this is a yeah, this is a big one. On the nose, a lot of bourbon. I guess it's bourbon. It smells bourbony. Zero head to be contended with. I don't know if y'all can see it here, but this is very light. Actually, maybe you can see it. Like a reddish amber color, looking good in that aspect. Very malty, not too. I mean, the bourbon is Give a little time for the bourbon. I got yes. Malty, warming. But refreshing, and I could still taste that barley wine, Doug, under that barrel age. So it's not like just a barrel age, it's not, it's like, I don't know, Aaron, I don't know if you've jumped into the barrel age ones, but sometimes it's just like all bourbon and you can't really taste like there's a beer there. There's a nice beer, malty, nice barley wine, Doug, under this wonderful bourbon. And this is the rest I'm going to drink tonight. This is.
I'm a little surprised it's only 11.3 because barley wines are high ABV to start with, and then you have barrel aging to it. I'm a little surprised it's only 11.3.
Yeah, 11.3. I need to send one of these your way, Doug. For sure. This is a big one, and I don't know. Maybe you can age it too, because I guess this is their anniversary beer. So yeah, we're gonna have this brewer on soon, and he's going to talk about what I rage about. What I'm rage about is expiring beers and how he has a really interesting, wonderful way that we can change the whole system about that. And I'm looking forward to it. So yeah, Aaron, one of the things that you talk about and you love, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but my perspective is that you have a passion for talking about this and you love to talk about it. You can tell me if you do or not. But mental health is a big subject with you and talking about it. And the current narrative on mental health, in my opinion, and you can tell me whether I'm wrong or not, is that people still believe that we don't talk about it enough and we don't give it enough I don't know if it's attention or we don't give people who suffer from it enough leeway as far as about how they deal with it and how people deal with it. So I don't I want to know, I want you to remark on that about the current state of mental health as far as how people look at it publicly or how we are as a society dealing with it.
So the first thing I'll admit is that it's a little hard to go by me because I work as a social worker, right? I'm a social worker by trade. I have a private therapy practice. This is what I do. And so a lot of the people that I'm connected with online who aren't, you guys and my favorite Dead 2.0 friends and like other people, other people that I'm really close with, they're all like in this field. And so a lot of the information that I'm going to get online from social media and things like that are about mental health, just because that's what the algorithms are going to give me, because they know that that's what I'm all about.
Right.
So in a sense, yes, it seems like we're talking about it more. On the other hand, I still don't think we're talking about it enough. Okay. Here's an example. It's obvious that we're talking about it more, especially since the pandemic started like 2+ years ago. There's no question that people are more attuned to the idea that the pandemic turned everybody's lives upside down, right? People were, in terms of the people I was working with, I mean, at the start of the pandemic and certainly within the first few months, I mean, we're talking about switching in-person therapy sessions to remote therapy sessions, right? It's a lot. There are perks obviously for each, but I'm now doing therapy sessions face to screen as opposed to sitting a few feet away from somebody. It's a very different tone. The pandemic also caused lots of anxiety, right? People afraid of going outside because they're afraid of getting sick, and depression, because when you're stuck inside all the time and there's very little for you to do, and especially when winter comes and you can't get that vitamin D that you need, it's very hard to moderate your mood in the same way, and that's why people turn to alcohol and other forms of self-medicating. And so there's no question that mental health became a much more prevalent aspect of society. Now that the pandemic is hopefully starting to lift, right? I mean, just to use New York City as an example, because that's where I live, the chancellor of New York City schools said he wanted to hire, I think it was like 500 new social workers to put into the New York City school system. And it might have even been more than that. Specifically because with this year being the first year that students were actually consistently in person, they knew that kids were experiencing all kinds of mental health problems, right? Anxiety about being in person again, emerging from depression, getting used to being around other people again. Like there are all these kinds of things. And the word trauma, I think, gets thrown around a bit, especially in situations where it doesn't always apply specifically. But with the pandemic, yeah, this was a traumatic event. And people are still reeling from that. I don't know what the pandemic looks like around where you guys are, but certainly I know that there are populations in the United States where some people are going to start taking off their masks, right? That we know that mask mandates all over the place are being lifted. And some people are not going to want to take them off because they've so ingrained themselves to the idea that if I take off my mask, I'm going to get sick. And so even though they can see, right? I mean, we talk about like things that contradict your worldview, even though they can see the evidence that the pandemic is starting to lift and the cases are going down and more people are getting vaccinated, still we've gotten so used to the idea that I need to wear a mask. I leave the house, I need to put a mask on. Now we have to adjust again to the idea that maybe things are actually getting better and maybe we don't need to be quite as stringent all the time. But look, I mean, that's why I have a job. So that's the other thing.
Yeah, job security is there. Yeah, you got that for forever at this point. But yeah.
Look, the good news for me, at least, is that people are always going to be messed up in some way or another. So
Sure. I'm one of them. What's up, Doug?
I think Aaron's completely right. Obviously, I mean, he lives in that world, but like I will talk a bit about just from my area because I'm in upstate New York, more rural, not super rural, not like way out in the sticks. But when I go to a grocery store now, probably 75% of people aren't wearing masks. Now, I am going to wear a mask because I'm high risk, so I have to be conscientious of that until the evidence shows that that's not as big a risk. I mean, I'm vaxxed and boosted and all that stuff, but I have heart disease. I have to be really careful. And, it's kind of interesting, just the idea of how different levels of comfort people have depending on where they are. Like if I'm outside, then yeah, I'm not gonna probably worry about that as much because I'm outside. I feel like if you're outside, you can keep a little distance, then great. But inside, if I'm in a place like a supermarket or a movie theater, I'm probably going to mask up just because I feel safer that way for now. That may change. But to your point about mental health, I mean, yeah, this upset a lot of things. I mean, you look at like the kids that went to school and then all of a sudden they can't. And then like one of my kids had a really bad experience with the online experience. It really wasn't good for them to the point that they had to cancel that school and go to a virtual school because that school was basically blaming them for things that they weren't responsible for. And it was just bad because that school was unprepared. He obviously was unprepared because why would he be prepared for that? But like, the amount of people that need mental health help is a lot larger than I think we realize. And I think we've gotten better about understanding that mental health is really important. But
talking about it too.
Yeah,
talking about it.
Yeah, and the idea of like, especially men, and listening to your kids about it because I agree that the word trauma gets thrown around a lot. Thanks, TikTok. But but there's situations like this was a traumatic experience. There's sometimes the trauma is a real fucking issue, and in this case, I think you're right, Aaron. I think we need to do that. We need to listen to our kids and guys, speak the hell up. Like, I'm glad that on the whole, I'm making a generalization here. It's not the case for everybody, but I think on the whole, women are a little more freer to discuss their feelings and that kind of stuff and when they need help. Not all the time because everybody's situation is different. Sometimes they don't feel like they can. But guys have this, especially guys of a certain age, have a harder time kind of confessing that they're struggling. Like I've struggled mightily with mortality since all this stuff happened. Like to a point where I was like panicked about everything that I would eat that might kill me. Like it was really bad. And, I started seeing, I booked an appointment with a therapist and that therapist isn't quite right for me. So I need to get a different one, but I need to go down that route to kind of dig at that and get myself more settled. So, yeah.
Aaron, you want to, I know it looks like you want to comment on some of the things Doug said.
I not a ton. First of all, I was just going to say, look, the fact that Doug is in the process of finding a therapist that fits best, that's excellent, right? The other thing I was going to say is that yes, men especially are not raised to talk about feelings. This has been true for hundreds of years. And especially in our society, men are, certainly these days, men are still expected to be the lone wolf, right? The
rock,
the rock, right? Exactly, right. We don't talk about stuff. Women talk. Women talk about their feelings. Women talk about whatever they talk about. They talk about everything, partially because they're raised to, right? It is expected from them that they are going to have these communities, that they are going to have these support groups, and I don't mean support group in the clinical sense. They're going to have these groups of people around them who provide support, and men are not expected to do that. Men are expected to be the lone solitary person who sort of finds his own way and doesn't need any of that support. Right? It's better to be a man. It's better to be alone. It's better to be the standalone guy. And I don't know how many more instances we need to read or to see in order to realize that that's all bullshit, right? Like, we need each other. We need community. We need contact with people, and we need to be able to talk about our experiences without worrying that somebody is going to call us a wimp or say, just be a man, right? Like, have a stiff upper lip, right? Like, it's just dumb at this point. It's just ridiculous that we're still going back to those kinds of customs and traditions that are just, they're also not working for us. I mean, talk about like mental health needs and diagnoses and physical maladies that are coming along with it as well. There's I'll say this last part real quick, and then I know we're ready to move on. Yes, the self-destruction piece is exactly what I was going to say, especially when we're talking about adolescence. It's a fairly well-known fact that adolescent girls in particular, attempt suicide more than boys of a similar age. However, it is also true that adolescent boys, succeed at attempting suicide, or they complete the act, so to speak. They die by suicide at a higher rate than girls. Okay? So, I see your face, Greg. Girls attempt it more. Right. Girls attempt it more, and boys succeed more.
Wow.
There are a bunch of different reasons for this. One of the primary reasons is that has to do with the method that they'll use, right? Girls will use things like slitting their wrists or taking pills. And these are the kinds of methods that can be reversed or addressed really quickly, right? Whereas if a boy is going to do it, he's going to get a gun. And you can't reverse that. And so, these kinds of statistics, they go towards adulthood as well. Women are more likely to ask for help. Women are more likely to seek out the help of a therapist or another mental health professional, or even just support from their friends, from the people they know. And men are not. Men are going to turn to alcohol. They're going to turn to other substances. They're going to turn to gambling. They're going to turn to whatever it is that helps them sort of block out those feelings, because men aren't supposed to feel. And so that's what ends up putting us down those roads over and over and over again. And we've just got to stop. We've got to start talking to each other. We've got to be talking about what we're going through, and we've got to do it in a way when we know people will listen.
Well, I believe we would be doing malpractice here if I didn't ask the next question that I'm going to ask. And, Doug and I, this is generally a fun stream. We do talk about heavy issues all the time. But overall, we want to be a fun variety stream. People can just jump in on a Friday.
Sorry,
relax.
guys.
No worries. Hey, I asked the questions and we booked you. So please. But you've seen us enough to know that, we talk about silly shit all the time. But I feel I'd be malpractice if I didn't ask you while we had you here this question. how can you give us a few tips on where people can go when specifically they don't have health care? One of the barriers, I believe, to therapy is that people think it's expensive and people think they don't have money for it. So then it's almost like a one-stop thing. Well, I can't get therapy, I can't afford it, so then I can't do anything. And Doug was explaining to me about one of his friends who didn't have health care and is going through some problems with his heart and had a blood pressure of almost 300 or something, and didn't have health care and didn't have the access to it because of whatever reason, and the pandemic. And you already know people are unemployed, people are still unemployed, money hasn't added up. We got a couple stimulus checks thrown at us, but that was only to cover like the first month that we were in, basically the whole thing. So as an expert and as someone who I don't know if I'll call you an expert, but I'll call you an expert. I don't know if you're going to accept that or not. That's up to you. You can tell us. But as a perceived my perceived expert is what are different things that people can do that don't cost money, that can help their mental health, or places that they can reach out to. And if you want to cover the things that cost money too, that's great. But I think there's a lot of times that money's that barrier, if that makes sense, Aaron.
Sure. No, absolutely. So here's the first thing I'm going to give you. I don't know for sure, but I would imagine that every city, every major region has its own suicide prevention hotline. A very quick Google search, and it came right up. I found the National Suicide Prevention Hotline. I can give you that right now. It's 800-273-8255. So that's free, right? If you're struggling, that's the place that you can call, even if you don't feel like you have somebody else that you can talk to. It's worth a call, right?
And hold on, Aaron, real quick. Is that, and that's not specifically, I wanted to make sure, I want people to know, it's not to the extreme of you're going to commit suicide. That is just for help.
Correct. Look, they call it the National Suicide Prevention Hotline, but what it really is you're calling this number to have a conversation with a person. You're saying, I'm in a place where I need to talk to somebody. I don't have anybody else I can talk to. Here's somebody I can talk to, right? You don't have to have the gun in your hand loaded, ready to pull the trigger. You don't have to have the pills in your hand ready to throw down your throat. Like, it's not that extreme. If you need somebody to talk to, you call the number, you find somebody to talk to. And that's a really easy, straightforward, free way to get access to who knows how many other resources, right? I mean, I know that at least in New York City, there's another number, 1-800-NYC-WELL. 1-800-NYC-WELL, which is the New York City Suicide Prevention Hotline. That's also a real easy way to access mental health care. Yes, it's predominantly for suicide prevention and mental health issues, but it will also help with mobile crisis, or, if you're in a place where you need help, these are the people you call. That's the first thing.
Were you laughing at this mess?
Yes, that's what I was laughing at.
I was wondering where that came from, and I was like, oh, it had to be a comment. It had to be Zach. Go on.
We laugh to keep from crying, right?
Right. I told you we're silly here. I already warned you.
Look, if it was going to be any, it was going to be him. In any event, so that's the first step, right? You've got the 800 number. You call them, they'll point you in the right direction. The other thing, at least regarding what Doug said about healthcare being, or certainly mental health care being expensive, it depends where you go, right? I mean, yes, there are lots of private therapists who are going to charge out-of-pocket fees and who don't take insurance. I'm one of them. Look, therapists have to make a living too, and there's a certain fee that we're going to charge for what we think our services are worth. That being said, we are not the only game in town, in any town, right? There are mental health clinics everywhere that accept insurance. There are also private therapists everywhere who accept insurance. And so one of the really easy ways to start that search is to go onto the Psychology Today website. It's one word, psychologytoday.com. You type in your zip code, they give you a list of therapists who have ads on Psychology Today. I've got one there too. You can find me there if you want. It's certainly easier to find me on social media, but yes, you can find me there too. And that's a real easy way to get a list of private therapists who are in your area. And it says right on the site, do you accept insurance? Do you not accept insurance? What's your fee range, et cetera, et cetera. And then beyond that, you've got your local hospital, you've got local clinics, talk to your doctor. They're definitely going to have resources, right? Talk to your regular, I keep saying pediatrician because I'm so used to working with kids. Your general practitioner, right? They're going to be able to point you in the right direction. They absolutely have contacts with local mental health professionals. They'll be able to point you in the right direction. Those are three real straightforward ways to get connected to services. And those resources, at the very least, are all free, or at least with your general practitioner, you're already connected to them. So, hopefully it's somebody you feel comfortable with, and you can. And one more really quick thing, just because of what Doug said about he found a therapist and then it wasn't the great fit, so he's going for somebody else. It's not unusual at all to feel a little bit off with the first clinician you meet. Just because you have an intake with somebody doesn't mean you have to stay with them, whether it's a private clinician or at a clinic. Therapy shopping is a real thing, and that's okay. You need to have a therapist that you feel comfortable with. You need to have a clinician who you feel really gets you. And if the first one doesn't, find another one. And if the next one doesn't, find another one, and keep doing it until you find somebody who you really feel comfortable with and feels like you feel like understands what you're going through. That's it now.
Amen. And I was going to labor you with another one, but take walks, free things, call relatives. If you don't feel good, like Doug and I meeting people at night, meet someone at the park, go shoot basketball, physical activity. Anything that I missed real quick, Aaron, that you can do that are free, walking.
Physical exercise is huge. Physical exercise is huge. It is such an underrated aspect of a way to improve your mood. Absolutely. Get yourself moving. Do what Zach does. Heckle these guys. Right? Like, go for walks. I'll tell you this. I had a family that I worked with, and this was like in the height of the pandemic when nobody was going anywhere. And this parent said to me, my daughter is going nuts here. She needs to move. We live in an apartment. We're in New York City. What do I do? I said, if it's too cold because it's winter to go outside for a walk, have her run up the flights of stairs a few times in your building. Literally anything you can do to get yourself moving, get those juices flowing, you're gonna feel better. Reach out to people. Social media is terrible at times, but it's also use the word social there, right? There are people that there are people you're connected with. It doesn't matter. The nice thing about the internet is you don't have to be connected to the people who live in your area. You can reach out to people who live in upstate New York or in Ohio or in California or wherever. Lauren and I just talked today for an hour plus, and she lives on the other side of the continent from me. I mean, these are the people that you need to be talking to in order to keep your mood up, in order to keep your mental health going. These are the easiest things to do. I don't know that it looks French. I'm not
wearing a beret and smoking a cigarette. Jesus Christ.
Aaron, don't answer this. Thank you. I just wanted to.
Okay.
All right, Aaron. Thanks for great tips. A lot of things that we knew, but again, some of these things need to be said over so people understand it. It's good to see the comments here. like like bike rides, and even this is funny. It's true. Laugh, find ways to
Yes.
laugh. Doug, I haven't lately, but I save a whole lot. Aaron, I'm one of these people, segueing a little bit. I'm one of these people that there are times where I spend more time putting like entertainment in my queues than I actually watch stuff. So like if you go to my queue under like HBO Max, it scrolls for like hours because I want to see like everything. But one of the things I did last week, Doug, was pull up a whole bunch of stand-up comedians. I forgot that I loved just watching stand-up. And I used to, in my younger years, used to love to go just to see stand-up. And that's what Zach reminded me of heckling, because you go to these stand-up things when you were young and just have a couple drinks and then start yelling at the guy and he would yell back at you. And it was fun. I miss all of that. But stand-up comedy, though, and laughing is something that I believe is very underrated in this aspect. No, it's not going to solve all your problems, but it'll at least take you out and away a little bit. And again, I don't know. There's nothing like laughter, Aaron, as far as with me goes, as far as like changing my mood. And, even especially, we've talked about it too, especially on the side, about how sometimes, with all due respect, how fucking frustrating kids can be. And there's those times there's those times where I learned, especially when they were young, Aaron, to just remove myself like from the situation. And I do this too with the lady, and that's helped too. Like, shut your mouth and go somewhere. And like, even if it's like go and then like I'll text Doug, or there's times where Doug and I'll text each other and be like, I don't know what the fuck to do. So I just left and I'm bitching at you, and then I'm behind closed doors, and then I'm good. I'll be good in a little bit. I just needed someone to listen to me bitch. And that's it. So there's those times. What are you gonna say, Aaron?
How old are your kids again?
Oh, they're 18 and 16. They're actually, they're old. Yeah.
My kids are about to turn 10 and 6, and I am right there with you. And I yes, fine. You want to call me a mental health expert? Fine. You want to call me a parenting expert? Fine. When I tell you that my reactions to my children are sometimes severe isn't the right word. I don't get physical with them.
Right.
But yeah, that whole thing about I have to leave now because I'm going to do something I shouldn't.
Right.
Yeah.
Or say something. It's always say with me. You know what I mean? And it's always some dumb shit too, Aaron. Like if you take it back and like if you go somewhere and then you're like, I was really about to say that stupid shit. Like I really was going to say that stupid shit. Like you really were going to say that stupid shit.
So dumb. It's so ridiculous. I'll say really quick. This is what came into my head. So we were on this long road trip because during February break last week, we drove to Florida to see friends, and one of my kids was watching Night at the Museum on the iPad in the back seat. And there's a scene towards the end of the movie where Ben Stiller is arguing with the monkey, the capuchin monkey, who like causes all this mischief throughout the movie, and he's arguing with the monkey. And Teddy Roosevelt, played by the wonderful Robin Williams, says to Ben Stiller, Who's evolved? Right? You know how you're supposed to be responding right now. Who's evolved? And that literally was going through my head tonight. Who's evolved? Who is the adult here? Who is the one who knows how you're supposed to? Like, come on, Aaron.
Right.
These are the monkeys. You are the adults. Get
right.
out of the room.
And it must be really even funnier for you. Again, as a mental health expert, as a social worker, you're probably talking to people all day long about the dumb shit that they say and the things that they have to do to get out of that, or to apologize to their wife or their spouse, and then meanwhile you're over here doing it. Right.
Absolutely.
That's the human element. That's like, you know what I mean? It's like when I go to, it's exactly this. It's like when I go to a liquor store, Doug, and I pick up, after preaching on here, I pick up a pack of 6-month-old IPAs, and I run out of the store with them, and I get home, and I get on Brothers and Booze, and I'm like, look at this wonderful IPA I got, and then I look at the bottom of the glass, and the other can, and I just feel like just ending broadcast right now, and just crawling up into a ball. Right? Weren't you the one that was just bitching about this for 400 hours? Yeah, you were. But at the same time, I get caught up in that moment of just ecstasy, being in a liquor store with all this beer choices, and me loving the fact that I have all these beer choices and all this wonderful beer, wonderful breweries, and different shit. And I just start grabbing without any sense. So we can relate, Aaron. We can relate. And I think it's good too for people to see that, quote, an expert like you goes through the same that we do as just regular normal adults. And Doug, Aaron and I have talked a bit, so I don't want to know if you wanted to jump in on any crazy shit that was said about you, including the Zach shit.
Jack. I will say that the thing that drives, so like I say a lot of dumb shit as a parent. Not because I'm trying to impart wisdom or try to guide in the right way, and I say some dumb shit, and man, the amount of just hammer blows I give myself mentally from like, why did you do that? You're the worst parent ever. And I do that. I am enormously hard on myself, and that's not helpful either. So don't do that. Please don't do that.
Right. I mean, there's, and Aaron could probably talk to us about it, but like there's a fine line between holding yourself accountable and beating yourself up. And that's something that like I've learned over the years. And again, taking myself away from it, and then I can beat myself up a little bit usually helps. Actually, it's a mix, Doug. You already know, like it's a really nice mix. But I think you deserve to be beaten up a little bit, but don't take it enough to where, you know what I mean, it's detrimental and it's gonna like not help you move forward. You know what I mean? Wow, we're all like, look at that. Aaron brought out the therapy in all of us. Look at this.
Yeah. Hey, so it's not okay to like spend several hours brooding over a dumb thing you said. Okay,
several hours.
Don't do that.
It can be literally hours, and I am dwelling on that. It's really.
I believe you. I'm telling you, don't do that.
I feel you, Doug, but sometimes it's just minutes for me, mostly. And then sometimes I feel bad that I didn't beat myself up enough. So I'm like, did you even give yourself enough? You know what I mean? I'm like, problem. Right. We're on opposite ends on this one, buddy, because I'm like, all right, that was enough, damn it. Now, let's go. Like, that's kind of like me talking to myself. So, and Doug, talking to yourself, you don't want to talk to yourself. You want to talk to us about your second beer.
Yes, I do. So my last beer of the evening is going to be something I pulled from my cellar fridge, and I'm pretty excited about. So I pulled this out. It is a Lagunitas. The willetized ones they made last year is from December of 2020, so it's been there a bit. So this is coffee stout aged in rye oak barrels from Willet bourbon. So rye.
Good. Oh, okay. And
I just managed to spill a little on my desk, so that's awesome.
You ever hear laughter yoga there, Aaron?
A little bit.
Yeah, I don't know what Lauren's talking about. I've never heard of it.
Apparently, and she posted later that's a real thing and posted a link to it too. So
yes.
Oh.
I have not gone to laughteryoga.org. I mean, I guess it's a real thing, but absolutely she's right that laughing is a way to release everything, right? When you get all, right? Like, and I know it's like a weird sound and whatever, but everybody knows that feeling. If you find a way to laugh, I mean, you were talking about this, Greg, but it's a way to release all of that. So
that is bourbon-y with lots of rye bourbon. Like I could smell that like from here. Like
and no coffee though, right? No coffee.
All the coffee's gone. That's not even
Right,
an adjunct.
right.
That's a distant memory. So this is just a very bourbony stout. Even so much that the stout flavor isn't nearly as strong as the bourbon flavor. We were talking about earlier, Greg, about sometimes you get those bourbon barrel aged things, but anytime you cellar something, I should have thought about it with the coffee adjunct and not realizing that would be a problem. But not a problem, just would go away. But if you like super boozy bourbons beer, this is it. This is definitely boozy. But thankfully, that's my last one for the evening because I don't think I can have another one after that.
Right. I was going to say, I don't think you're right.
Yeah, because when I put this in the fridge, this was 13%. So that's it for me.
Yeah, your tolerance is probably not what it used to be, given
not anywhere near, and that's actually that's not a bad thing. That's a good thing. But,
no, yeah. I declare, I agree. Zach says Roy Ward Jr. on YouTube has been great late night.
Oh.
Never heard of him. I'll check him out.
He's funny.
Good.
Really,
he's
funny.
very funny.
Okay.
He's from The Daily Show, I think.
Yeah, he was.
Oh,
I think he still is. But yeah.
Yeah, stand up is way more therapeutic than I remember it. Absolutely. Let's see. Laughter activates so many good chemicals in your body. Absolutely. Yup. JHG 14 and 9 here. Yup, and JHG's he's got his boys. They test him from what. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have a Rolling Rock in my kitchen. A friend left on my doorstep. Are you serious?
Not right. Not today. That they'd be like, here's a cellared Rolling Rock from 2014.
Right. All parents say dumb shit. That should be a book, actually, right?
See, Jonathan knows what's up.
Oh, let's see. Yeah, Doug bringing a hammer. Yeah, that's one of Jerry's favorites.
Yeah, and it was excellent fresh. So that one, like I said, I cellared it just to see because it's all an experiment to me. So it was like, okay, let's see how that is. Well, now I know how that is. So I'm glad I didn't let that wait any longer.
Yeah, can we see the after show with Doug?
Y'all have seen me on the show after I've had 3 stouts. So I think you've all seen me at a point where I've been beyond normalcy.
Doug has had some. We've both had some crazy after shows, but not recently though. We've been good. So Aaron, you're safe.
I may be safe with you guys. I just poured myself a little more gin. So.
Oh. So Aaron, can we start a quick money therapy scheme? Stop. Baby goat yoga and stuff. Baby goat yoga. Goat yoga? Yeah, I know that one. I know goat yoga. I don't know laughing yoga. I never.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Okay. All right. We're gonna do this now. So, guess first on this one, Aaron. What's going on? What you watching that's interesting and you want to tell everybody about?
I am halfway through Inventing Anna on Netflix. I wasn't sure I was going to like this show because if you think about shows like, and these are oldish shows by today's standards, but shows like Gossip Girl or even Sex and the City or, all these, or the OC, right? Shows that were all about these people who are really rich and don't have to worry about anything. And, it's all about like all the different drama that's, going on. I have no patience for any of that. This one, though, is, first of all, based on a true story. And second of all, essentially what it is, there's this woman, Anna, either Delvey or Sorokin, depending on which identity you're using for her. And the question is basically, was she the child of a really, really wealthy German somebody or other? who was able to, I don't know, get herself into the New York City really high wealth scene? Or was she a complete scam artist who was able to get herself into that scene just by, knowing the right things to say and getting in with the right people and this and that? And so I won't say what I have come to learn is the answer, but I actually realized I think it's like 9 episodes. They're each an hour. Some of it feels a little long, yes, if I'm being honest. However, what I will say about it, I realized, especially after the last 2 or 3 episodes, that this is such a social work thing for me that it's all about realizing who these people are and why they're doing the things that they're doing and why they're willing to give her the chances that they're giving her and why she is doing the things that she is doing. So I'm leaving it there. I am hooked. I don't know exactly how it's going to turn out, but I can't wait to see it.
Cool. I know you have another one, but let's jump on Doug's first, and then we'll hit back.
Sure.
We'll hit you back. Doug, what you got?
All right, so I'm going with Tournament of Champions Season 3. All right, I am a nerd about this show. I love it. It's all these awesome chefs, and they get all kinds of crazy shit thrown at them, and they have certain amount. That is my catnip. So yes, I love that show. What's great is you have all like the staples of the really famous chefs, and then they throw in a couple of newbies in there, or people you haven't heard of, or we watch that. And, Joel and I watch that together because we're both nerds about it. So yeah.
Why is it any different than any other food cooking show, Doug? No, I know there's a reason, but tell me.
Okay, so basically, this is all of the super famous top chefs, all of them. It's 32 chefs. It's not just like. It's not like guys.
You mean like Bobby? I'm sorry. You mean like Bobby Flay and?
No, not Bobby Flay is too hoity-toity for that show. That's way below him because he's a fucking asshole.
Right. I mean, when you say the top chefs, do you mean like TV chefs, or you mean like I'm from around America and shit?
Well, they have TV chefs like Alex Garnaschelli's on there.
Okay.
Freitag.
Okay.
Like they just have a lot of really because Jill and I watch a fuck ton of those shows, we get to see all of them. So, Manit Chauhan is on there. She won last year's. I cannot take you to Flavor Town. I do not have frosted tips. Sorry. But yeah, and then the challengers are like, yeah, Bobby, that's true. That's true. He's also an asshole, so I don't want to see him on there. But regardless, it basically they have this randomizer thing where they spin a wheel and it's 5 of them, and it depends on what the food is, what kind of style you have to make it in. You have to use a specific tool to make parts of it, and you only have so much time. And then it's nuts the stuff they get, and it's a little easier in the early rounds. But when they get in the later rounds, they throw some they're like a randomizer of chop shit, and it's just really fucking interesting.
All right. Cool. Aaron, you have something else that you love to talk about.
I do have some. Doug, what are you doing?
What the hell?
I haven't knocked my glasses over, and I haven't even only had 2 sips of this shit. So what the fuck?
Right.
I do have something else. The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel on Amazon Prime is golden. It is wonderful. Now, I will say this. First of all, especially since we were talking about stand-up comedy, if you have, on the off chance that you have not watched this show yet, it's essentially about a Jewish housewife in the 1950s. He might be. I'm not far behind him, actually. It's about a Jewish housewife in the 1950s who decides to pursue a career in stand-up comedy instead of just being a housewife. Rachel Brosnahan plays the main character, and she is absolutely wonderful. She is hilarious. The writing is fantastic. It is funny as all get out. And I laugh at every single episode. It's in its 3rd season right now. They're currently airing new episodes, I think, every Friday night. And it's wonderful. It's just amazing. you get more of the jokes if you're Jewish because it's so like ingrained into her family and her ex-husband's family and that kind of stuff. But it's amazing for everybody. It's just a terrific show, and it deserves every single award that it's ever won. so yeah, that's the other thing I'm watching.
By the way, that was filmed. That was filmed in Binghamton, which is fairly close to me. Some of it was.
It was also filmed in Forest Hills here in Queens.
Yeah, so it was part of it was filmed here in Binghamton in the first
Amazing.
season.
Cool.
I went to college in Binghamton. That's terrific.
What about you, Greg?
Binghamton Rangers. I went to see them play a couple hockey games once in a while. I don't know. Oh, about me, what I'm watching?
Yeah.
Nothing really new, man. I just was the Jeffersons and a couple of late night movies, but nothing new to talk about this week.
I have one thing to talk about. The first show Aaron mentioned. Did you know that the girl in that is the girl from the movie My Girl with Macaulay Culkin?
Oh yes, I did know that. So not the one in the picture.
No.
The girl in the picture is Julia Garner, who I actually think might be Israeli. I have to check her IMDb page on that.
Yeah, but Anna Chlumsky is.
But the person, right? Anna Chlumsky is the actress who plays the news reporter who is doing all the research about Julia Garner's character, and Anna Chlumsky is the girl from My Girl. Yes, that's correct.
Excellent. What I got to talk real quick about what triggered me this week, and Aaron heard me go off. Aaron and Doug heard me go off. It's funny. Whoever is the guest of the week gets to hear me go off on something that previous week. Well, this week I don't have a overlay for it. I actually forgot. But this week it's this story about how Girl Scouts are getting little girls selling Girl Scout cookies are getting basically I don't want to say getting yelled at by people because of I don't even Doug, I couldn't even really get to that part of the article about why the hell you would even remotely do it. So I didn't even really get to the reasons. I guess because I don't even know. So maybe y'all saw it and y'all can inform me because I don't give a shit. Like, why do you need to be talking to kids and be yelling at kids about some fucking Girl Scout cookies? It's just fucking annoying. Like, what in the hell is wrong with people, Doug? Like, if the Girl Scout cookies are too, like, you know, Doug and I both have had health problems. We both have suffered through heart attacks for the past month. We can't be eating that shit. But I'm not going to go and scream at a Girl Scout because I can't eat them because they're too sugary or whatever the fuck y'all are doing. Where I come from, if you had a problem with a kid, you would address it with the parent or the adult that is in front, that is supervising, or that is a parent of the kid. Talk to them. You have a conversation. Hell, you might be yelling or anything, and I understand all that. But where this whole adults berating kids thing, I mean, you're only asking for trouble. And I'm not saying people should be beating other people up or anything, but if somebody comes after you screamed at their kid, no. And, you know, Hillary Clinton wrote a book. She wrote a damn book. It Takes a Village. That's a book, people. Don't, like, take it to, like it's, like, real, something real or something. I mean, it is on some level, and I get the sentiment that she was trying to say. That, like, we should all raise our kids, and it's great, and we should have a community, and you should care about other kids. Well, caring about other people's kids doesn't mean screaming at them about some fucking Samoas. I'm sick and tired of fucking people, Doug, and I've had it, and I'm annoyed, and there's really nothing that you can say to me to calm me down about this fucking Girl Scout thing. Leave those damn girls alone. Again, we're back to, it was a half an hour ago, Aaron. We're back to, if you're going to say something stupid, how about you shut the fuck up, walk away, go get a drink somewhere, and then maybe come back and you can address the situation, or you can even, how about you even have like this a civil conversation with the girl, or have a conversation where it can spark a little bit of conversation with them about, I don't even know what you're going to be bitching about, though. The Girl Scout cookies. I'm just so tired, Aaron. Oh, listen. At this point, I'm going to need some fucking therapy and fucking post-production, okay? So I'm glad you're here because once we hit end broadcast, then you can calm down and you can tell me why I'm wrong or whatever because hopefully you at least read the fucking article. But this is my rant of the week, Doug, and I'm really, really fucking sick of this. Leave the fucking kids alone.
Well, you didn't even. Those are kids, and then there's also the kids that the governor of Florida decided to start parading.
Oh my god!
Fucking press conference, and then acted like a fucking toddler and stomped out like the little Napoleon motherfucker that he is.
Yes! What was that? Right, and then. What is this with berating kids nowadays, Aaron? Is this something that you've seen pop up, or what? What in your field of expertise can you say that is leading to this? Like, it's bullying on some level. Again, kid, remember. Listen, I'm not that old. I remember being a kid, and like having an adult yell at me that wasn't my parent was so intimidating. And like, there's nothing you can really say or do to maneuver out of that as a youth. Even as a teenager, you had a little bit more balls to you as a teenager. But even still, it was like, respect your elders. And I was always taught to respect my elders. And just because people are old, I was supposed to respect them, which I never really understood, Aaron. I was like, well, what if they're a fucking asshole? I was always thinking that. But even if they were an asshole, I didn't really know what to say or how to maneuver that. So they're just imparting their fucking opinion on you. And they know that as a kid, you can't say nothing. And then if you're an adult, like, that's an awkward situation too. Because I just want to scream at you. Like, don't yell at my kids that way. Like, look, you got your kids, you discipline them. I got my kids, I'll discipline them. My kid's an asshole. I'm gonna grab him by the shirt and take him around back, and not hit him, but I'm gonna grab him by the shirt because I don't believe in hitting
from the situation.
Right, but I don't believe in hitting kids, Doug. We've talked about this a couple times, but I believe grabbing the fuck out of you and grabbing your shirt and shaking you if I even have to. And luckily, I haven't to any of my kids, but that's my form of physical, like behavioral work is that I'll grab a kid. I'll grab you. I used to remember grabbing my toddlers when they were kids. Aaron, I was never a yeller. I've yelled at my kids, and I'm not bragging, but I've yelled at them less than 20 times in my life, literally. But I've always, I would get up and grab them. Because there was a psychologist that told me that, kids understand, physical stuff more than they'll probably, understand that you yelling at them anytime. So I always was like, look, I'm going to tell you once, and if you don't listen, I'm going to go grab you. And then I went and I would grab them, and then just that, physical jolt of, whoa, you're in my space would normally shake them out. Sometimes they would cry or throw a tantrum, but, you know what I mean? So, I've never been a yeller. So I don't even think I would yell at another adult. I probably would try to grab you next time.
Yeah, keep your hands to yourself. That's the first piece of advice I have. Definitely don't touch anybody. Look, what am I going to say here? These people who are yelling at Girl Scouts are ridiculous. They are children themselves. The reason they're yelling at kids is because they are too insecure and too full of themselves to realize that what they're doing is absurd. And that no one is going to take them seriously when they're yelling at kids. Look, I'm a dad. I'm at the playground with my kids, and I see two kids. Sometimes one of them's mine. Sometimes it's not. I see two kids going into it. I'm gonna say, all right, you guys got to stop. And then I get them on their way, and they start playing, and they're fine. When there's an adult involved, what am I going to say to the adult aside from, dude, what the hell are you doing? You're yelling at a child here. Go away, right? Talk to somebody who is on your level. The child is not on your level. Who's evolved, Right, we're back here again. Who's evolved? Who is the adult and who is the child? And you need to talk to somebody your own age. You want to talk to me as the parent? Fine. My daughter's not old enough to sell Girl Scout cookies, but if you see my daughter selling Girl Scout cookies and you have something to say about what the Girl Scouts organization stands for, or what you think about the quality of the cookies or the nutrition facts or whatever else, you know what? There's this amazing thing that we keep coming back to in American society, whether we're talking about free social media apps or products that are available for sale or channels that broadcast certain types of news versus other types of news. You don't have to consume them, right? Like this whole idea of live and let live that's a real thing. You don't have to be on Facebook. You don't have to be on Twitter. You don't have to be on Instagram. You don't have to be on TikTok. Or if you are, and you see somebody who says something that you don't agree with, you can respond to them in a way that is respectful and actually expresses a coherent thought, or B, you can just keep scrolling and totally ignore it. It's not going to hurt you.
Wow.
Right? Like,
right.
if you see Girl Scouts selling cookies because this is what their troop has done, and they're trying to get enough money so that they can, organize a retreat or a trip or something like that, and you want to go yell at them because Girl Scouts are aligned with Planned Parenthood or something, I've got news for you, buddy. You're barking up the wrong tree here, right? This girl who is 7 or 8 years old probably doesn't even know what Planned Parenthood is, nor do they care. All they want is to sell some Thin Mints. And by the way, if they're going to sell those Thin Mints, sell them to me, right? Like I will buy those Thin Mints from you. You don't need to worry about these guys who are trying to berate you for selling delicious cookies. It's just absurd. And again, this is why I have a job, right? Because people are messed up.
Right.
Look, I saw a comment before. I don't think it got put up, but somebody asked, like, are we really all messed up? And the answer is yes. Everybody is messed up. Everybody is messed up, including me, right? Like this is not something where I'm above everybody else. I am messed up. Everybody is messed up. It's just the details that are different. Not everybody needs therapy to fix everything. Not everybody needs medication to fix everything. But everybody is messed up in one way or another. And it's just a matter of being aware that you are messed up, and so is everybody else. And we just have to find a way to get through the day together.
And if you follow Aaron on Twitter, Aaron, you were talking about, a quote mishap that you had with your kids recently, and about how you had to walk out of the room and all that. So, like, he's preaching to the choir here, and he's just being humble himself. And Doug, where are you at with all of this mess?
Okay. So my kids are teens too, all of them. One of them's actually in college and is 20, so I don't have the little kid thing to worry about anymore. I didn't really run into, because this is like when my kids were little, the internet really wasn't the internet that it is now. And we had polarizing shit to talk about, but my kids didn't get berated because they were doing some shit that this fucking knucklehead from down the street didn't agree with. Well, they wouldn't yell. They would yell at me or something like that. And I really appreciate you, Zach. You and I are gonna get a ranch in Montana soon.
I better get an invite. I love Montana. Go on, Doug.
Yeah.
You guys can keep me on speed dial.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
It sounds like a retreat.
Man, I would love to have like a commune like that, a beer commune.
Yes.
I just need to have money. That's
money.
But I don't know what to say to it. Like, if that person came up to my kid and started fucking yelling at them, I would, I'm not sure I would get in their face, but like, hey, knock that off. That's not your spot. If you want to yell at somebody, yell at me. That's fine. I can handle myself. That kid's fucking 8. That kid doesn't know what the hell you're talking about. Leave them alone. Like, for instance, I'll give you a for instance. Like, if I go and I see I'm not even talking about kids, but like when you have the bell ringers at Christmas time for what the hell are they?
Salvation Army.
Salvation Army. You know what? I don't ever give them money because their organization is very much against LGBTQ rights. They throw money at laws to try to prevent equality there. So to me, I am never giving them a dime. Now that's a personal choice. I'm not up there yelling at that person. Hey, what the fuck are you doing? Like, I don't do that. Yeah, that thing. But also that's if a kid was doing that, not in a million years would I do that. Why? What kind of horrible brain do you have that you think it's just adequate to yell at kids for something that kid's never gonna understand? Like I don't get that.
Aaron, I want to blame it on the pandemic. I blame everything on the pandemic, as Doug. But I believe that like people's just fuse, even still, is just less than what it used to be. And people's fuse like went down. So this takes a little bit to become triggered like me, where I just wanted to start yelling and screaming. And I guess, I don't know. I just don't get it. I mean, you saw how triggered the governor of Florida was. That's triggered. What is this about? What are you doing with masks? Like he immediately, like it wasn't even cordial at all. Like, again, you can, there's ways to do this. And even, he could even said his disagreement with masks in a cordial way so that it was like, hey, y'all don't got to wear that. We're past that. We're trying to move on. It's good. He could have said it that way, but the way, like the presentation was just so fucking awful, Doug, that like, I don't care, Republican, Democrat, I don't give a fuck about that. Like, it's just strip all that away. You still, with all due respect, have a fucking asshole. And that was my point about it. Like, I don't like Ron DeSantis. I've never liked Ron DeSantis. It's not about whether I like him or not. It's about you being a fucking asshole. It has nothing to do with your RD, DR, RD, whatever. I don't really give a fuck. I don't care. Anyway, I guess his stance as an R makes him anti-mask, and that's fine. Go and do what you're going to do that way. But don't be an asshole. There are, a few Republicans who aren't assholes. So I was going to say there are plenty. I'm not sure about that. That's my opinion. I'm sticking to it. But, there's plenty of Republicans. How about this? We're able to express it in a cordial way. We're able to express it in a way that doesn't come off like you're a fucking kid. Those kids had more sense than he did. By the way they acted, they didn't scream back at him, and they didn't actually a couple of them kept their masks on, and that's fantastic. That's your choice, and don't let this asshole tell you whether you can do it or not. Like, or if you feel uncomfortable, you figure doing it. Finish doing it. It's fine. But anyway, it was just more about an asshole play, Doug, than it was. And again, these people, I don't care about, I guess, not liking Planned Parenthood is a Republican thing. I don't really care. You're an asshole. It doesn't matter. It doesn't, why you're berating a kid doesn't matter to me. And that's why I didn't even read the damn thing, because I couldn't even get to the whole, what their reasons was for it, because you're a fucking asshole. So, like, you're a fucking asshole. Stop the whole conversation, like the whole.
No, it's true. They lose all credibility when they start addressing the issue like that. And that's really what it comes down to. You want to have a conversation, fine. You want to just, if you want a place to yell, take it somewhere else. Which, by the way, is a conversation I have had with my children on more than one occasion. You want to have a conversation about this? Fine, we can talk. You want to just yell and scream and be angry about things? Go somewhere else. Because I don't want to hear it.
Yeah.
And then, Aaron, it's a common theme. I'm sorry, Doug, real quick. It's a common theme. Just go away, calm yourself, come back. We're back to this. What were you going to say, Doug?
I was going to say the thing that actually, I think that really kind of set just what kind of a turd he was in that moment is the idea he came out and he called it COVID theater. When he's the one coming for a press conference, yelling at kids in front of cameras, to take their mask. Yeah, you're the one doing the theater, dickhead, not them.
Mm-hmm.
That was. Listen, I didn't like him yelling at them, but also that idea that him doing the quit this COVID theater. I'm like, hey, motherfucker, they're doing what they think is best. Like that shit just. I'd throttle that little fucker if I could. And I'm not a violent person by any stretch. So,
in my opinion, he's a big asshole. Zach says we've spent 2 years alone behind the screen. We can turn it off, but we don't know how to operate people again. That's part of what I'm saying about the pandemic, as far as a little bit about it. This is that frustration or that isolation kind of like took us back a little bit. Greg doesn't hate politics; he just hates white people. Some, Zach, some, but not.
There are some that are worthy of that hate for sure.
Clearly not all, Zach, or I wouldn't have a damn Friday cast. I wouldn't have a damn Friday weekly one with some big old white dude like this. So pretty sure that Doug is white. I mean, I could be wrong. He could be. Oh, and we have a guest that's white too. We do that all the time, right? Yeah, Zach, whatever, dude. Oh, thanks for the podcast. Love the fro. Everybody keeps saying it. It's gonna get cut soon because I'm tired of it. And Cleveland sucks. Cleveland does suck, but the Browns beat the Steelers in the playoffs. I'm just letting you know that, Felix. And also, Felix, just so you know, Ben Roethlisberger's 0-1 against the Browns in the playoffs. Did you know that wonderful fact that he's always going to be 0-1 because the rapist retired, in my opinion?
I'll take the rapist for 200, Alex. That's therapists. Oh. How apropos.
I love
it. But
I love it. All right.
That was a great sketch.
This is the time to show for this, Doug. So, Aaron, share everybody what you've been sipping this whole time, and what explain what you're sipping, and I'll put it up here, and then I want to get more into how you got it.
Sure. So the bottle is called Inveroche. It's a gin. I love it. It's delicious. It is. I usually drink gin straight, maybe with a wedge of lime. That's just how I drink it. But it's delicious. It is a botanical gin. It is slightly more floral than, say, a Tanqueray or a Bombay or something like that, which is just a sort of a straight dry gin. It's not quite as floral as something like the Botanist, which Doug turned me on to, which I absolutely love. But it's very, very good. It is very sippable. This I poured more, and this has been straight. The first bit I had with some lime juice, but this has been straight so far, and I'm doing just fine. The way I got it, as I said earlier, was for our wedding anniversary in October. My wife bought me a 3-month subscription to a Gin of the Month club through Mash and Grape. And that's a website. Everybody can go there. It's mashandgrape.com. And so I received 3 consecutive bottles of gin, and they were all.
Full bottles?
This one is.
That looks like a full bottle.
Yeah. This one's 750 milliliters. I think they were all about the same. If not, if they weren't actually that, then they were about the same. So.
And they were exotic ones, right?
The website bills them as craft spirits. I think you can do a gin of the month. They also have a whiskey of the month. She bet on gin, which was the right move, but I definitely could have been fine with whiskey. The first one was, it was. They've all been very good.
Excellent, and they're generally ones that you couldn't find in your local liquor store, right? Is that the
correct?
Is that the kind of the vibe that they give? And then real quick, so then are you so obviously the wife knows you, and that's good, great. but gin is your liquor of choice.
I prefer gin. I was never a huge drinker, which is why I prefer actually gin or bourbon as opposed to beer. I like something that I can sit and sip and just sort of sit with.
Right.
And so, yeah.
And where did that? We usually, you're a man of many different talents, and we can talk about that. So that's why we get to it. But where did your love of gin come from? Was that because, respectfully, I don't, gin's not one of my favorites. And then when I was exposed to it, at least early, it was the Bombay and the South, and those aren't just, they end up harsh.
Mm-hmm.
And then Doug knows one of my favorite drinks though is gin and tonic. So then I was able to find a way to enjoy gin, but it's definitely never in the way that you do, which is sipper. Now, if I want a sipper, I want tequila. But then people would say what I just said about gin, people say about tequila all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I had Jose Cuervo. It was terrible. Tequila's terrible. Why do you drink that? How do you sip that? Blah, blah, blah. So they almost have the same kind of stigma to them. So how did you find gin?
My dad always used to drink gin. He gin and scotch. Those were his too. And so I can always remember him sitting with a glass like this, right, with a bit of gin in there, and he's sitting at late at night, he's watching TV or he's playing solitaire on the computer or he's playing hearts or whatever. And I remember him drinking gin. And I just, as I was starting to get more into alcohol and learning more about different kinds of liquor, I started on gin because I remembered him drinking it, and I knew that I liked gin and tonics. I figured it was worth a shot. So, Tanqueray and Bombay are fine, especially when they're mixed with things. For me, if I'm going to sip something straight, I'd rather something that's a little bit higher. A little bit more floral. I tend to like something that's a little bit more floral. It's got a little bit more flavor that I appreciate. It's not quite as dry as something like Tanqueray or Bombay, which are not only dry but come across as harsh at times, as you said, Greg.
Oh yeah.
But something I can just sort of sit with and just enjoy, even if it's not much. That's where I am.
Amen. Hey Doug, I didn't want to miss this one earlier.
Ardbeg is so good. I'm glad you enjoyed that, Jerry, because that's an excellent scotch. So, so you would classify that your gin's preference, Aaron, is more in the botanical side as opposed to more the junipery or the piney versions, right?
Although I do like the juniper part. Juniper is fine. I think the piney more is where I get. I don't like it quite as much, and that again is just more of a personal preference. But yeah, certainly the juniper or the floral, that's where I get to. Yeah.
Doug?
No, I was curious because you can go a lot of different directions. Which gin seems very like a lot of people think gin just kind of one little corridor, and there's a lot of different ways you can go with it.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different botanical ways you can go with it because it's a lot more versatile than you might think.
Correct.
So like you mentioned a botanist, that is my absolute favorite gin. So that is a personal. I think Lauren mentioned there, I commented on that about the botanist. Aviation, I don't know if you've had that one, Aaron. That one is actually very reasonably priced. I think it's like $22 a bottle.
I've heard of it and I've seen it places. Yeah.
Yeah. And Ryan Reynolds, the actor, that's his company. And he makes it. And it's an inexpensive entry-level gin that very middle of the road. It's not botanical, it's not juniper. It's just kind of really middle of the road. So, but it's good for mixing stuff. Actually not horrible, which is a high praise for gin by itself. Like if you're drinking it that way, but I think that's pretty good. Sip Smith is a great one for dry gin, but that's not always easy to find. But yeah, and I see Daniel Fisher made some comments on it too. But yeah, sorry.
You have any, Aaron?
The only other thing I was going to say is Hendrix. Hendrix is generally considered to be a slight step above Bombay or Tanqueray. Hendrix also has a number of different varieties, which definitely alter the taste. But it's a slightly sweeter gin, which I think is one of the reasons why it's considered to be a shelf above. But that's also very good. It can also be dry and but not with the harshness that I think Tanqueray or Bombay come with. So if you want one that's really, really common and easy to find, I would say Hendrix. If you want something that's a little bit maybe a little bit more niche and also delicious, I would go with the Botanist. Honestly, that's where I would go.
Yeah, and the Botanist and Hendrix, at least where I am, is pretty much the same price level.
Correct. Yes, same here.
Yeah, and Daniel's in New York City too, Aaron. So
yep.
Yeah, this Brockman's.
I haven't had that one.
No idea. Doug, what were you sipping?
All right, so I only had the two, but the one was super boozy. That was my cellared Lagunitas coffee stout, aged in rye oak barrels, and all the coffee's gone. Not as well balanced over time. The bourbon really took it over. Boozy. If you wanted just like a really boozy beer, really good for that. But this was aged for a year and 3 months. So I find with the bourbon barrel aged things now, I'm a little bit more about balance. I used to be really into the just give me the bourbon bomb, and now I'm a little more balanced. So, but the thing this was just super great. Dark and Stormy by Duclaw. Sour ale with ginger and lime. Approximated a Dark and Stormy cocktail really well. But it obviously can't give you the rum notes, but the ginger and lime were perfect. So this was super drinkable. If you can find it, I mean, they make a whole series of sour me beers. So this is just one of them that I found and I really liked. How about you, Greg?
Had the double berry sour. I guess the double berry means that blackberry and raspberry, two of my favorite berries, and thrown into a beer, fantastic. Thanks again for Charlie from Martin City, who was our guest 2 weeks ago, Doug.
Yep.
And then our future guest we're going to have here, I don't know the date yet, but he said he would come on, but I haven't hit him up yet. But he's a brewer from Carbon 4, Priest, Prophet, and King. Big ass barrel aged barley wine that I'm still working on, fellas. So, you want to talk about a sipper, Aaron? And that's a fun thing about some beers. Some beers are slammable as all heck, meaning, I mean, they don't cool down and they're down your throat. And then you have these sippers that you can just even, as they warm up, they become different drinks. And that's a real nice thing. And this is one, I mean, at 11%, this is a sipper. But it's a big one too, Doug, as far as like with the the booze factor, and I don't know, it just gives you that campfire, bonfire, fall type one that you want. Aaron would have this, Aaron would take his gin, I would assume, right, Aaron, around the bonfire, and I would have my big boozy barley wine, and that would.
And I'd have a nice glass of scotch. We'd all have our different things.
Right. And that's a really good thing about a bonfire, as far as, I mean, there's so many different drinks that give you that warming that you're looking for. So, yeah, Doug. Normally we say goodbye to our guests before we say bye, but we're gonna do things different today. So, Aaron, the last question we try to always ask, but sometimes we forget because we drink booze on this stream. Is there anything that you want to say that you haven't been able to say? I think we touched on most of the things we wanted to talk about. Is there anything that we missed? And we're going to let you grace our presence on the way out.
I don't think so. I think we really hit everything. Look, the important thing is to know that everybody is going through something. right? And that's really what I mean when I say that everybody is messed up. Everybody's messed up in some way or another. Everybody's going through something. You don't know what everybody else is dealing with on a day-to-day basis. It's just important to be kind to each other and get going, right? Like, if you have something negative to say, just keep it to yourself. If you're going to say something negative, make it constructive. But there's no reason to ruin somebody else's day just because you're so upset about things. Look, the thing I said before about men and community, I meant it absolutely. Hit me up, right? Talk to me on Twitter, talk to me on Facebook or Instagram at Sleeping on Edge. It's real simple. Find me. I will be your community, at least to start, and then I'll get you connected to whoever you need to be connected to. So, Zach, I'm not getting any scams going. Sorry, but yeah, I've got a license to keep. I can't do scams. But yeah, well,
I love how he says
for sure.
I love how he says "come on" like it's legit.
Yeah, not so much.
Let me publicly announce a crime we're going to commit together.
Right. Yo,
And
we're
I'm
starting to
publicly saying
scam
no.
over here. Right. Hey, we're starting to scam over here. Y'all can check us out. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Well, I don't know. So Daniel followed Aaron. When the New York City crawl happens, Daniel, it's going to happen at some point. We just need COVID to settle down forever. And once that happens, Doug and I will be ready to roll. And yeah, so I was gonna say, I've been following Aaron before. It was cool. Absolutely. I was gonna say though, and on this note we'll leave with a mic drop, but I was gonna say that, you could storm the Capitol and create a big scam and still not really get in trouble for it. So it happens,